The following content is for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
You are now listening to No Free Drinks, the Not Your Ordinary Dating, Relationships, and Sex Advice podcast.
Join me, Wesley, your Keeps It Real co-host. We were going out, I would say steady for like 6 to 8 months. We just abruptly stopped having sex. So why are we not getting freaky? Like, what the f*** going on? So she's like, no, because I've renewed my faith in God. I know how I am. Like, I'm not going to get no cheeks. I'm going to cheat on you. Brock, your Knows-It-All co-host.
And then my go-to hookup one has always and will forever be Tinder. Like, it's just like in the bathroom, like, cool, I got these 5-10 minutes. Like, just thumb game strong. Like,
and Lena D, your No Chill co-host.
Oh, so do you go down on women? And there were a few men that said, no, like, I don't believe in that. And then I was like, oh, well, I don't believe in you, so we should probably end this.
Yeah, that's harsh as
I mean, it's harsh as to say you're not going to eat my pussy out.
Join us every Wednesday for
all type of societal norms being turned upside down. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of No Free Drinks. This is Brock, and today's episode is called "'Tis the Season to Be Cuffin'."
Hey.
So we'll be talking about cuffing season and potential commitment issues, how to see signs of that, and how to potentially just work on that. And today I'm joined by my co-host.
All right, go ahead, Lena D. Go ahead. You in a rush. You in a rush. I'm back. I'm back for my attention, baby. It's Lena D. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I wasn't here for the last one. So I was like, and this is Lena D because I missed you guys a little bit. So, yeah.
This is Wesley, a pissed off Wesley, but okay.
It's our first episode back to the original 3. So to kick off this episode, first of all, we'd figured we'd define what cuffing season is. So I've always known, or at least I've always thought I knew what cuffing season was. Apparently, I've always been wrong this entire time.
It's okay. You're not alone.
Yeah. I was like, wow. So according to Urban Dictionary, cuffing season is, so during the fall and winter months, people who would rather be single or promiscuous find themselves, along with the rest of the world, desiring to be cuffed or tied down by a serious relationship. The cold weather and prolonged indoor activity causes singles to become lonely and desperate to be cuffed. So I always kind of had the notion of that where it's like, okay, it's cold. People don't want to go out and try to chat people up no more. Just a lot of work to be bundling up and still trying to get cheeks or penis, whatever you want to get.
Yeah.
The caveat I didn't know is that cuffing season is that. It's a season. So there's an expiration date on it. So as soon as spring hits, like leaves start becoming green again, no jackets, it's whatever you guys had, it's just
first
it's over.
Come up in March. It's over. It's over.
Maxi dresses.
Yeah, soon as this summer dresses come out, it's a wrap. So I didn't know that. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah. You know, you're trying to fill out the roster. You got the starter 5. You got the bench. You start whittling down the people on the list, and you're like, all right, cool. This is the person I kind of want to hole up with. So I didn't know that that's just a temporary arrangement.
Yeah.
Well, some people don't even know what cuffing means at all.
That's a whole nother problem.
So when we were doing the Chicas chat, one of our guests, Jess, didn't know what cuffing season was. So we kind of talked about it then, but that's kind of how we were inspired because it is the season where people are looking to get cuffed. But I think it has a lot to do with where on the map you fall and sort of what is the type of weather that you have in your respective hometown.
Agreed. Yeah. So we found a map called the United States of Cuffin on Huffington Post. And so essentially is a line on the Mason-Dixon line. So pretty much if you cut the country in half, and the northern part of the U.S., it says more likely to be affected by cuffing season because we have more traditional 4 seasons. It gets cold, it snows.
Yeah.
Minus the last couple of years, thanks to climate change. I hate the cold, so thank you. And then below the Mason-Dixon line, so you have your Texas, your Floridas, your Georgia, Southern Cali, Nevada, where it's pretty much just always either hot as balls or just at least very warm.
Yeah.
People in Texas, a lot of times have never seen snow. So like that was kind of the difference between North, more likely to be affected by cuffing season because it actually is a drop in temperature. And in southern part of the U.S., it's pretty much the same temperature year round. The two funny ones were our non-continental states. So Alaska, they have year-round cuffing season.
They have like 3 hours of daylight out there.
Like, how do you even like touch each other? Like, you just always fucking bundle up.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Man, Tinder must be awesome around there, man.
Unless everybody's already taken.
That's also true.
definitely not going out to no bar. Just like, all right, just home
That's
visits
cold.
only.
Cold as fuck out here. This 6 months of darkness. Nah, chill.
Yeah. So that one, so Alaska was year-round cuffing season, and then Hawaii was cuffing season not reported. Because as you can imagine, it's always hot.
Always hot.
Probably never have clothes on. Like, there's no, you're just always chilling. Like, there's no reason.
Yeah, for real.
It's really funny because back to the conversation we had a couple of weeks ago, it's really something that people start preparing for. So I've heard, once that fall weather comes in, people are starting to break out the boots and the sweaters, and you start seeing like the foliage change. People are just like, okay, it's time to update my Tinder profile. I need to get this down, need to find somebody. Because then the other thing that's reported too is that your friends start to socialize less when it's colder out, and they just want to be hanging out at their own place because they're too lazy to come out.
Yeah.
So basically, if you want to be single for half of the year and not have any human interaction, go ahead. But more than likely, it's recommended that you should gear up for cuffing season. And there's a couple of things that you should immediately think of when cuffing season is full and on. So obviously, as soon as the fall hits, that's your initial instincts to really start finding who you're going to cuff up for the rest of the season.
Start your engines, ladies and gents.
When Starbucks selling pumpkin spice lattes, it's time.
Oh, yeah, the PSLs, the basic PSLs. It's also the key indicator for cuffing season. I think that might be one for the ladies. Apparently for dudes, it's football, but
Fantasy football.
Yeah.
we were trying to figure out how that works because
It's tough.
I know Wesley's been
That's
pretty like to himself with this whole fantasy football thing.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
So I don't know how that's working out if you're going to be cuffed up with somebody. But I guess if you're not really trying to be in a relationship, it makes sense. You're just,
Nah, I'm trying to keep this undefeated streak going on. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to win this money.
I know, but then I'm probably like, it's easier to do that if you're with somebody and you're both just watching Netflix. You're not actually trying to get to know each other.
I guess that does make sense. You're not really vested in that person, so you can more easily manage just watching football, setting up your lineups, and being cuffed because it's like whatever. Like
Basically,
you in here to stay. Where the hourglass at?
And then, of course, it goes strong through the winter and the holidays, which is also kind of a little bit confusing because you don't. Like, some people have talked about finding someone to bring home, but if they're going to
That's
be...
weird to me. I saw that too.
It's
I'll
like,
never do that.
It's like, why would you bring someone around that you're going to dump after March?
Yeah, that doesn't even make sense.
Especially if you got nosy parents like mine. Like, what happened to so-and-so from Thanksgiving, from Christmas?
She's gone. That's what happened. She left. It's history.
Don't know what you're talking about, Mom.
Pull out the Men in Black thing.
So, I mean, I don't think we're recommending to bring them around for the holidays at all.
That's just way too complicated. Like, just keep it fun between you two. Like, no reason to be introducing the family and siblings and close friends. Like, nah.
No.
Yeah.
So whoever said that was part of cuffing season, we need to correct them because that's just weird.
Yeah, that is kind of weird. I mean, my experience has been this Tinder person I was messing with for like, I would say it started in November and it ended at the end of February. and I was the one that was like, I got dumped. So basically we met up in November. Everything was all good. We chilled out. We hung out. Went to, what's that tree again? Rockefeller. The Rockefeller tree, whatever. Yeah. Went there. We did a bunch of like wintry stuff. And then February, March hit. And I kind of had the feeling that something was going down because it was like the communications around like beginning of February started to like drop off a little bit more. It dropped off a little bit more, and then by the time March hit, it was just like it was a done deal. It was over. We were done. So yeah.
Yeah, it's
that happened to me.
So I think I had the reverse cuffing season thing happen to me.
What?
I was actually in a relationship with somebody, but we were doing the long distance thing for the first time because when we started dating, I was around locally, and then I moved away when I went for school. And we had still kept in touch, but come December, when I was coming back home from break, I had even noticed that before I came home, like a couple weeks leading to when I was coming back home, communication was a little bit slower. And I was fine because I was like, well, I'm in the middle of finals. Like, this is better. He's like not up my ass the entire time. But then I got back and I was like, okay, this doesn't feel the same anymore. So on Christmas, we broke up, which was a little unconventional for me because I was just like, well, couldn't you have done it before?
Yeah,
or like
heavy.
waited? Like, why do you have to do it on Christmas?
I gotta return these gifts. Like, come on, man.
What the fuck? But then I found out, because it's a small world, is that right after that, he started like seeing someone else, and they weren't officially together, but I guess he had wanted somebody to cuff with that was going to be around for the entirety of cuffing season.
Oh my Jesus.
And because I wasn't around for that entire time, we ended up breaking up. So I was like, okay,
So
well,
fucked up.
this is reverse because technically I thought I had my person, but then it was like I got cuffed seasoned on, but not necessarily in the cuffed. I got decuffed. I guess that's what it is.
Sweet.
But it totally could. I saw that happening and I was just like, okay, well, I haven't been around. It has been like premier cuffing season. So we cuffed somebody else and then we ended up breaking up. So he claims not to have cheated, but I doubt that.
Yeah, because especially the timing of that was like, oh yeah, somehow I already have someone lined up ready to go. Like, you ain't shit, motherfucker. You ain't shit. Like,
yeah. So I have seen that happen in the works. And then we kept in touch, even though we weren't dating anymore. And then come March, April, she was like no longer in the picture. And I was just like,
wait, what?
I was like, because then he started hitting me back up again. Like, oh, when do you come back? For when's your next break?
What that mouth do though?
Are you here around in May? And I was just like, didn't you just have old girl like around with you? Like, what's going on?
yeah, what happened to old homegirl?
So, but yeah, so definitely people do follow these timelines.
That's crazy.
The cold is too harsh out here. Well,
It is.
it used to be.
So I've never, I guess, officially. So I thought I always participated in cuffing season. Come to find out, I've technically never done it. So I never went into it with an expiration date. But with that said, I have traditionally dated a lot more seriously within cuffing season.
Right.
Because especially like New York City, like summertime, it's just fun. Like the weather is awesome. There's rooftops. You go to beach in Long Island. There's an influx of interns. There's just a whole bunch of just random people who's there for like 2-3 months. The summer in New York City is fun. And then at least nowadays it's not as cold, but like 3-5 years ago, like winter actually snowed. It actually was cold. So it's like
Right now, it would be freezing.
Freezing, yeah. Like it used to snow every Thanksgiving. This Thanksgiving was like 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
It was just 61 like last week. Like it was ridiculous. I love the warmth, but this is weird as shit.
Yeah.
So I do traditionally date a lot more during the winter season. So I guess mine is like an amended cuffed season for myself.
But that brings up a good point. It's like, okay, so we're not as lonely throughout the winter months in the given years. We can thank climate change for that, for good or worse.
We'll survive. I don't know about the great grandkids, but we'll be fine.
But I almost wonder if this starts to change how people are thinking about getting into a relationship now. So if things aren't about necessarily being lonely during this time because it's tolerable, maybe your friends are more willing to go out with you and you're not feeling like you're shacked up at home by yourself because it's snowing or raining out. So are there things that could potentially push you to want to have a more serious relationship after all? But I would say that most people that have participated in cuffing season have some of an inherent fear of commitment.
I'd agree.
So part of what we also wanted to help with in this episode is how to be real with yourself and self-diagnose your commitment issues if you have them, or to at least spot them so that you know what you want, and then you can filter the person that you might potentially get hooked up with that might have their own set of commitment issues. So we wanted to give you some tangible advice. And the first one out of those pieces of advice that we want to give you is really taking a look into yourself and identifying and starting to make sure that you aren't the one that has the commitment issues. I think once you start seeing other people, we're really quick to judge and say it's that other person's fault, like they're not ready, or this is what's wrong with them. And oftentimes we haven't taken the time to understand ourselves, what it is that we're looking for in a relationship, or when we're dating, or when we're meeting new people.
Yeah. So one of the things I like to do is I like to make up excuses.
What?
Like
you said it with chuckle.
I like to make up a lot of excuses. One thing that I've done, well, I've done a bunch of these. So don't judge, even though I probably will be judged, and normally I don't give a fuck about that. But one of the things I like to do is, well, not like, but one of the things I have done is like I make up excuses, or I'm just late. The one I like to use a lot is like, I have to work late, because most of the time that is true. Like I do have to work late, but sometimes I'm just generally late because I'm just lazy and I just don't want to hit a couple buttons on my phone to tell you that I am going to be late. Another thing that I've done, is that I'll agree to stuff and then immediately regret it and then just not agree to doing stuff. So, go ahead.
Why do you regret it?
Oh, because as much as I like the person, sometimes I like being alone too. Like sometimes being alone is so much better. For a lot of reasons, like I can catch up on some reading. I can watch Netflix, Punisher.
I crushed that shit.
Yeah. It was good.
That's just good. It's not for the faint of heart. It's good, but if you don't like gory and just straight up violence, don't watch it.
And I know probably the other person typically wouldn't like stuff like that. They want to watch, some romantic comedies and stuff. Not that I have anything against that, but I'm just not feeling it that day. I'm just like, this probably would be Netflix and chill, but I'm good. I'd rather watch Punisher.
Makes sense.
Another thing that I've done, I'll start arguments for crazy small reasons, like just out of the blue.
Oh, I had an ex that did that all the fucking time.
I'm
like, how the fuck did we go from A to B? Like what?
Was it in the context of not hanging out anymore, or like
there's no context?
I'll let Wesley. She left her underwear on the floor and shit like that. Just make a big deal out of it.
Oh my gosh!
Or like,
I used to get reamed for not putting like the toilet seat down.
Or do something like that. Or like she leaves a toothbrush somewhere that it shouldn't be, so I get pissed off. Be all pissed off about that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm like your worst nightmare. So
that definitely sounds like you're not ready for commitment at all. All of that.
If it's temporary,
all of those.
Number one, if I feel like it's temporary and you feel like it's temporary, one, why are you leaving your shit around here? Like this ain't your place. It's not a garbage place to be you hanging your shit around here. Oh, another thing that I hate too, but this is just a natural pet peeve of mine, is that when people go into the refrigerator and just open it like it's their place, like, what? Who are you? Like, we're not friends like that. We just having sex. Like, I'm awful. I'm sorry.
Well, if the person that you're seeing does these things that Wesley has done before, they're definitely not ready for commitment. So run away.
Y'all make it sound like it's a bad thing.
No, it's not. It's part about it being introspective. That's what we're doing right now. So people that are on the fence, if they are engaging in this behavior, then obviously they're not ready for commitment. So they shouldn't be looking for a commitment-based relationship.
Yeah, which is fine. Yeah. Everyone doesn't have to be in a relationship. Yeah, Never wrong being single. But yeah, if you're trying to be in a relationship and you're doing all of those stuff,
Yeah, you're trying to commit way too early. You leaving your stuff around. Come on, it's been a week.
Claim
Just
that,
be leaving your shit around.
claim that territory.
See, now what I did before was that, like, if I saw any of the stuff around, I would just like throw it away. I wouldn't even like give it a second thought.
Oh, that's fucked up.
What? It's true. Just throw it away. What? Nobody told you to leave your stuff here.
You could have put it in a plastic bag and left it by the door.
What? That's worse.
No.
That makes it seem like it's garbage. At least I have the decency to throw it away. And then when you ask me for it, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't remember just seeing this here. And then pretend like I'm looking around for it, but meanwhile I knew I threw it out.
Wow, see, that's just like straight up lying.
That's not lying.
Yes, it is, because you could have put it to the side and be like, hey, I think you left this here on
Yeah, but you
accident.
talking about putting it in a plastic bag, making it sound like it's some kind of contaminant that needs to just be like put in plastic bags. Like,
No, I'm just saying.
and
like,
you need to burn it as soon as
If I left something around, I'd prefer that it was put in a bag and handed back to me instead of being thrown out.
Sorry. But I
Matter
still
of
do it.
preferences.
Yeah, well, it's not preferences. It's just
Too late now.
Yeah.
Garbage man and women got that.
don't leave your G-string around me. It'll get thrown out.
I'm kind of glad I didn't go through this with you, though. So
Things might have been a little different.
Yeah.
Could have sworn I left my brush here.
Although Lena D used to steal my fucking nail clippers for whatever reason. She had this kleptomaniac thing about nail clippers. Whatever. Not gonna get into that. This is a side conversation.
it's probably had like 5 of them. By
Yeah.
the time
Like, I was just like, what the fuck? You have all of my nail clippers? I'm starving over here to cut my damn nails and you got my shit. All right. All right. Anyway, so that's side conversation.
So that's one. I mean, those are a lot of signs that you're not ready for commitment. But another one too, which you didn't touch on, those, I think most of those were more around personal space. So it's like, if you're really valuing your personal space, then you're probably not ready to be with somebody up in your personal space like that
Or my
for a
personal
long-term
time.
thing. But another one that I think is probably a little bit more problematic is around how you end up expressing or choosing to hide your emotions with certain people that are trying to get close to you. Because part of commitment is getting closer and opening up about your emotions.
Yeah, being vulnerable.
Exactly. And like taking a little bit of risk, seeing how it works out, being open. So if you're the type of person that rushes to find faults with people and you're not necessarily opening yourself up emotionally, that's one where, hey, it's probably not a good idea for you to start committing yourself to this person. And there's something that you need to find out within yourself before you start trying to find somebody that you want to get into a relationship with, because it's just going to have a rocky beginning to start with. But I think I've never quite done that. I feel like it's always easier to wear your emotions on your sleeve than to not be honest about how you feel. But those are some possible signs that you're not necessarily ready for commitment.
Yeah. Whatever you say.
Yeah, and then kind of like flip the script on this a little bit. So we've been talking about, I guess, pretty much the inability to commit, and I've actually had, for the most part, the opposite, where I've committed too quickly or too early, and then that has mixed results because you usually trust the person a lot sooner and things go a lot faster than one would hope. But then I guess on the flip side, when they do end a lot quicker because you're not slow playing it. So
Right.
I don't want to say it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just, that's just another thing to be wary of, or just kind of just jumping in head first, which is fine. But just like, just be aware that, hey, like, I may be moving a little too fast. Like, let me just, like, I know if you know you move too fast, if you know you move at a 10, try to move at like an 8 or a 9. So it's kind of another thing, because it's when it works well, it's amazing. But then once you start bumping heads, you're like, oh shit, like you do this and this and that I don't like, that Lena D and Wesley kind of hinted at. And then if you had kind of taken your time along the way, you would probably figure that out. You'd probably saved yourself a lot of headaches and just mental agony. So that's just another thing, like being wary of. So not only the inability to commit, but just the rushing into potentially committing something that if you waited an extra month or so or 3, you would have probably found out like, hey, like I like you, but we just don't jive on these things, and it probably wouldn't have worked anyway.
Right.
I found that I've actually done that too. It's like when you get so excited to meet someone and like you have a lot of stuff in common, either you don't pay attention to the red flags or you are so excited by it that you ignore it and you feel like, well, no, like that's going to change or that's something that I can help them change.
Yeah, the change thing, I've done that to myself so many times.
And it's just like, no, it's a difference. And the problem is that you never actually talk about it within the context of that relationship. You just end up going with the flow. And then because it's so rushed, there's never any real time to think about anything. And at the end of the day, I think people just get frustrated. And that's not how real commitment works. It's more about the give and the take and the having the conversation, the easy ones, the hard ones, like especially the ones where you really butt heads on them and you're still able to reach a middle ground. But in my experience, whenever it's been like really short and intense and passionate and stuff, you don't give any time for that. Most of the time you're just like having sex the entire time. And that's what's amazing about it.
You're like, all right, cool. It's going to cure everything. Let's cure cancer out here.
But I've totally gone through that experience as well. And one that I haven't gone through, but I have seen in action is, and I think it's a little bit related to the confusion of whether you're really looking to cuff, so like cuff with an expiration date, or when you suddenly hit gray territory and so all of a sudden it's not about cuffing anymore, it's that you actually want this person that given their relationship status, which is the one that I've seen more commonly, like they won't be able to be there for you in that way because they already have another relationship.
Right.
So I think that's one where you can get confused between the intention of having a true cuffing season partner and then wanting them for more than that. But from the beginning, like you ignored the signs and they were never going to be able to give you that. So it's just being clear on the type of commitment, even though cuffing season really isn't a commitment because both partners go into it knowing that.
Yeah.
But some people can get in trouble, like the ones that are either on the fence about committing or actually looking to commit. So
how do you overcome all those feelings?
so many suggestions.
Yes, I think probably one of the big ones is we've talked about it a lot of time, just like self-reflection and not like, so the example we had was the toilet seat or going in the fridge. It's not like, oh, the problem isn't necessarily the opening of the fridge or the toilet seat. The problem is just respecting of space or just rules and guidelines. It's usually something a lot more deeper, more meaningful than what the actual action is, because it will repeat itself in other scenarios and you'll be like, damn it, why is it happening again? Complete different transgression, but the feeling that you felt the first time is happening again, but something completely different. So you need to figure out what the hell is going on. Why is it bothering you? Is it actually this person that's doing this thing is bothering you, or is it something that they're triggering that, I don't know, might have happened growing up or in work that week? So you just got to figure out on your own of why that's bothering you and just how to go from it. Is it something that's just maybe a one-off, or is it always going to be there? And then either you just need to talk to someone, professional help, like therapy is fine. I remember undergrad we had, I think it was like 10 free therapy lessons as part of tuition. I did 2 and never went again, but it was interesting to go. I just didn't like, it was weird for me because you have to like explain to the stranger your whole life story, whereas like for like friends, like they already know this stuff.
Right.
But this person, you got to catch them up to like 18, 20. Yeah, like,
Catch them up.
Jesus. And then when I was 6, I did this, and 7 I did this. So I was like, all right, like, and he wasn't the most like, I don't know. therapeutic person. Like, it's a little weird. Like,
sometimes it has to be a match for you. Like, either you guys see eye to eye. It's like a fit thing. Like, it's not just anybody, I think, could help you through.
Yeah, it's like a personality mismatch. So, so I think, that's a big one, like figuring out like what's bothering you. And the bigger thing is why it's bothering you. And then figure out how to kind of learn from that. I had a good friend of mine, probably like a couple weeks ago, he got out of a long-term relationship through no fault of either party's kind of distance. So one's from the East Coast, one's from the West Coast, and just
that is tough.
How do you reconcile that? Right. And then so things unfortunately ended. Then he got back into the dated scene, but he doesn't really like the whole dating apps thing, but he's not necessarily ready to commit to. So we were just chatting up like how do you know? I'm like, I can't answer that for you. Like, you just know, like, when you're ready to you just wake up one day, like, I'm just over this shit. And I told him, like, over the summer, I'm just like, dating apps is fucking shit. Like, I'm off of this, just the time and money. And so just a light bulb went off one day. So, like, I couldn't honestly tell him with a straight face, oh, yeah, on the 12th day of March, like, this so happened. Unicorn shall show up. Like, no, it's just, you have to self-reflect. It's not going to come all at once. Like, you'll figure it out. The fact that he even asked me that question means he's already on that journey to figure that out. So I think, just reflect as much as you can. And whether you seek the advice of family, friends, professional, like, just get to a good place.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it's really grounded in big areas. So it's like things that you really have to reflect and figure out. So whether it's you're afraid of rejection, or whether somebody really hurt you, like you got your heart broken before, and then that ended terrible, like it was a terrible breakup, and you're not quite sure that you just assume that that's going to happen again. So there's like this huge fear that regardless of who you end up meeting, like that's going to repeat itself. And then there's also like people that just have loved the single life for so much, and a part of them wants to be in a relationship with someone, but a part of them still wants to have like the single lifestyle. So there's like so many things that can really be holding people back emotionally that you really just have to narrow down what it is. And like you said, be honest with yourself and kind of start that journey.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest problems we get into is comparing ourselves to other people's like timeline or where they're at in life. Yeah. Like, there's no problem with being single. Like, if you want to commit because you want to commit. Don't commit because, well, I'm getting into XYZ age, or I've been working for it. It doesn't matter. Just be single. If being single is fun to you, be single. Because the fact that you're already questioning if you can commit, and then if you were to commit, it's just not going to end well. 80-20 rule, it's going to be a little twinkle in your eye. Like, just not worth it. Just be single if that's the case. Like, there's absolutely positively nothing wrong with that. Or if you realize, hey, there's open relationships, there's polyamorous relationships, you could have like a baby mama arrangement. There's so many other like alternative relationships. Like, you don't have to have a traditional relationship.
That actually reminds me of a show on Netflix. She's Gotta Have It. That's a good show. That definitely gets into all that. It's good.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah,
we kind of like watched it all in a day.
Yeah, I have to watch that one.
Like, damn, like Spike Lee took that movie and made it into made his movie into a show. I was like, damn, this is good. I know for myself, like at one point, I stopped dating for like, I think it was a good year and a half, possibly, because I was, contrary to popular belief, guys, the stuff that I'm saying is because of stuff that's happened before in the past, but I've actually been engaged once. So yeah. But after my heart was broken, I was just like, we were geographically like not even close to each other either. So I was just like, you know what? It's probably better if I just stay away from all ladies. So I was like celibate for like a year and some change, man. I probably was the smartest I could ever be in that whole year. So yeah, like for me, it was just like, I don't know. I just wanted to feel comfortable in my own skin again. So for me, it took me a good solid year before I was just like, yeah, I could probably introduce someone else in my life again. But when it happened, I was just like, man, I I don't like saying it like that. I was like, man, fuck women, man. I'm done. I'm done with all this shit. This is over. I don't want to do this no more. I'm done with all this. I got better things to focus on. I got money to make. This is not for me anymore, at least for the time being. So
yeah. And just how for you, it was that perspective. Like for other people, it could be, fuck men. Like I don't have time to be running around with different guys and I'm not clear on what their intentions are. And sometimes it's better, like the self-care piece, but just being open with how much you really need. Like it took you a year and change. Like, it's a process. It's not going to be like, okay, I'm going to take a month off from dating and now I'm going to start dating, but then you're still frustrated in the same way. I know that I think part of that is like following your instincts. So if you're going out on all these dates, Brock, you mentioned you just completely got off of the apps because it wasn't really helping you out and you were getting frustrated. A lot of that has to do with like just your own instinct as well. And I think a big piece is just to follow the instinct that you feel. So if you're not just going with the flow because you feel like you have a certain timeline to meet someone, that's never going to end up well. Like you think you're always going to end up disappointed. So it's much better to think about, okay, am I really going for this 100%? And if I am I in that state of mind to do it? And then if you are, make sure that you follow your instincts and then don't overthink things either. Because I think sometimes you fall into the trap of, well, they look great on paper and they have a great resume and I think we can really hit something off. But then sometimes the chemistry is missing. And whenever there's chemistry missing, you'll be good until you guys are friends. But then basically you're dating a friend. Yeah,
it never works. You can't fake chemistry. You're just like,
no, you really can't.
Hey, homegirl, pound it. Like, like if you don't want to fuck her brains out, like it's not. You can't fake that. You can't. That doesn't magically materialize. Like just.
You got to think about getting hard.
Just like
not the person.
Home, babe. Wait a second. Wait for it. Like
a minute. Almost there. 60%.
He's growing. Like you can't fake that. So, and then that kind of goes into like just vetting better. Like being able to like vet better in terms of chemistry, in terms of people with the right intentions. Like what are you in this for? What am I in this for? Ties back into self-care. I have to know what I want to be in for. Mm-hmm. So like if you're not taking care of yourself, you don't know what the hell you want to get into this for. So kind of just this valuing the quality over quantity, which I know is tough because younger me would have been like, the younger me with the hoodie would have been like, no, go for quantity. Get all the cheeks. Now I'm like, no, don't do that.
Evil hermit.
Her. They don't even know each other. Like it just, it's tough. Like, I think you just gotta go through your own shit. Like you just go through a bunch of heartache, bunch of bullshit. Eventually, you're just not worth it. With all that said, though, there's still no magical recipe. Like you could do all these stuff like that, just have great chemistry, but it's still not guaranteed to work out. There's so much other stuff. True. Geography, it's some type of this crazy event that happened in one or both of your lives. You just kind of grew apart. Like there's so many other stuff that can go wrong or right to get you to the final point, whatever that final point for the two of you are. So don't be scared to lose, essentially. Like you got to play to win. Like if you're gonna half-ass it, it's just never gonna work because the person can sense it. Like, well, I'm putting in 110%. You're kind of like you're here on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but like Wednesday, like just if you're in it, just go all in. But take your time. Only go all in when you're ready.
Yeah.
I think the other thing too, it's that kind of made me think about it. As much as you're putting in all this time for self-care in order to overcome some of the commitment issues you might have, you also have to make sure that the person that you're talking to has also done the same thing.
Yeah.
And that you're not taking on a project because, well, if I show him how great it is, like he's going to stay with me. No, sometimes people end up leaving you for somebody else because you kind of changed who they were.
Yep.
So I think that's another warning sign. And then also don't expect somebody else to change how you feel. You have to be ready going into it. Like don't expect don't expect dating or a relationship to be a process for self-improvement.
Right.
Agreed. There's like a kind of shitty / bad phrase out there. Like growing up, it was like, kind of like you complete me or two halves make a whole. Like, no, you should come into it as a whole already. And then we just make one even bigger, big ass circle.
Yeah,
like,
basically.
If you come in half already, it's just terrible.
It's like, where's the other fucking half?
Like, why do you only have half? Motherfucker, you old as shit to only have half of you already.
Yeah.
And it's like that. It's about like the relationship is about making it better than you were as your whole self.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think the other key important thing too is like, let's say that you really found someone that you really like, and there's still something that's like not quite right. I think at that point, it's just more about being vulnerable and opening yourself up to talk to that partner about what it is that you're going through.
Right.
Because in that case, I think it's better to be transparent about it and decide if that's something that you can manage to work through being in a relationship, or if it's going to be something that you have to work through on your own.
Right.
Agree. And I think, you having that conversation is key. So that it's just an ex, like 2-3 exes ago. Dating went fine, relationship was fine, then started like going downhill. I'm just like, what is going on? So one, she started smoking cigarettes. I absolutely hate cigarettes. Like, it's just like, but I was trying to be supportive because she was like, I'm trying to kick the habit. I was like, cool. And then that was like on her own will, like she brought it up. It's like, cool, I'll tough it out. Then she went to a new job, so then the stress on the job, so then she started going the opposite direction. She started smoking more.
What?
So I'm like, oh. So I'm like, okay, so that was like a huge thing. Because I'm like, I'm trying to be supported by I don't like it. You know I don't like it. So it's like between a rock and a hard place. Then another issue. So I'm not the biggest gym person. I just try to be active. So there's just a gym a couple times a week and some type of sport, softball, basketball, whatever. And then she just would not, her and activity was just like,
that doesn't happen.
She wasn't about that life. So I'm like trying to like find, so I'm like literally Googling ways to like, how can I like, just like nudge her in a way. I was like, all right, let's go for a walk or let's do this. She'll just be like, no. So then things escalate to where I can't mention the G word, gym or smoking. It was just like a whole bunch of things. Then we end up breaking up. Then comes to find out like she's dealing with all these issues. Apparently she had like a eating disorder and a potential drinking thing where she shouldn't have been drinking. It was just like and I could kind of tell, like, especially as time went on, like,
Wow.
So, like, that's like, you just got to take care of yourself. Like, you can't possibly try to quit smoking, work on your eating disorder, and not drink while dating someone else. Like,
That's just a lot.
That's a fuck ton, which is fine. Just take care of yourself first. Yourself is the most important thing. It's okay to be selfish. Take care of yourself. Then when you're there, on the way there, then you could date someone. Like, so I kind of felt slighted. I'm like, I kind of knew all along, but like, she always like shamed me for like bringing it up. So like, it was just a fucking shit show. So don't do that, people.
Yeah, just be open. I think it makes it easier.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah. Makes things a lot easier. Random question that came to me. So do you guys think, so I'm just thinking about this. So we're talking about how cuffing season is like has expiration date, and then it may or may not be because that person or both parties have commitment issues. So do you think by consistently participating in cuffing season that you're actually making yourself worse off? If a serious relationship is something you do want in the future, but you keep participating in something that does the exact opposite of that.
Well, I haven't participated this year, so I guess I'm doing something right. Got all this time of my life to do now, do whatever I want. So
I think it's a different way to like frame the situation, right? So if you're constantly about the cuffing season and like that's what you get excited for, but you know it's going to end, in a way it's almost like you're not fully getting to know that other person. So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like if you're constantly going from cuffing season to being super single in the summer to cuffing season again, I don't really think you get to develop or really get to know that other person in a way where you would discover if that's somebody that you really want to be in a relationship with. Or like, how do you even know what you want in a relationship?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you never experienced like you only experienced all the good. Like, you never experienced like the arguments and the like getting to know yourself. Like, oh shit, like I'm just really shitty with like whatever, like texting or just checking in or I don't know, just asking about your day. It's like random shit. It's like you get to know yourself by being a reflection off of someone else. So.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's true. I think that's why if for whatever reason this year it hasn't been as conducive for like cuffing season weather, I think some people might be having that question or that debate internally. It's like, well, should I just be looking for a real relationship instead? And sometimes because you haven't needed to commit to anyone, these are the types of questions and like internal reflection that you have to go through to understand what it is that you really want in a relationship. Because I think the other thing too that's important is not just rushing into a relationship.
Don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that.
And sometimes it's just like, well, like I've just been on all these dates, or I just really don't want to be alone, or I just really want to find someone that's really into me. Like all of those things, it's kind of like rushing into it for the wrong reasons. So that's one big thing too. It's like you don't want to do that because, again, to your point, it's not really commitment. It's like a short-term thing.
Right. All right. So one of the things that I've experienced, this is actually when myself and Lena D first started going out. I'm about to cry.
It's gonna be
there's gonna be like a.
Then we all gonna cry.
No, I ain't gonna cry. I'm gonna cover my eyes. So like, so I lost my childhood friend, to a car accident. So that was like hard. It was painful to the point where like I just didn't want to be near anybody. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to do anything. I was just, and it was crazy because like it first started, not it first started, but like the school semester had just started. It was like in August, like, that second week in August, not second week, but like that first semester, that first week in the semester in August where you're just like, people giving you syllabuses, the professor giving you syllabuses. You got to, make sure that the schedule's right. You want to participate in certain clubs, blah, blah, blah. And all this happened. So I was just like, I don't want to talk to nobody. I don't want to be near nobody. So, and I almost like, I think I had broken up with Lena D for like 2 weeks because I was like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to deal with shit. So I felt like I was kind of like rushing it at the time, even though we had been together at that point for a solid month, 2 months, I think, something like that. No, it was actually 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So it was hard. It was, yeah. But then I got through it. Lena D was still around and stuff. And then we ended up getting back together and life is good. So,
yeah, I think that was one of the things that's like, because you were open about it, a part of me was a little pissed off because I felt that you should be able to rely on me being in a new relationship to help you get through that. But what I also learned is that sometimes people just deal with things differently. Yeah. And you never know if you are trying to be in a committed relationship with somebody, sometimes there's being understanding, even though the way that they want to do things might not be the same that you would approach things. So when there's these big things that happen, like these big events, and sometimes you don't want to rush into a relationship, I think the other thing too is just being open and saying that you're not ready to be in a relationship at that point because of what has happened. So I think I did learn that from that instance, and just the ability to be flexible and be open to that other person's perspective and what they need at the time.
Agreed. Yeah, and I think another trigger is when you start to compare yourselves to close friends or siblings. Like, oh, such and such, been married for 2 years now, and not even have a girlfriend or boyfriend, or they already have baby number 1 and dog number 2, and it's like,
slap yourself.
It's
Wake up. This is your life, not theirs.
Yeah.
It's tough to resist, especially in the age of social media, where essentially your timeline and newsfeed is just curated photos and statuses of just wedding photos and engagement proposals and babies and dogs, and it takes a while to finally go over that. I remember, like, I feel like at one point everyone has like a timeline of sorts. I was like, oh, cool, I'm gonna be married, kid, settled down. No, I said, man, I think it was like married by 30. I think it was like 2-3 kids by 35, something like that. And then I saw people around me like getting married by like 25. Like, what the fuck? I was like, holy shit. At 25, I was like, I'm fine being single. This shit is fun as shit. So, but then I started getting a little bit older. I'm like 27, 28. I'm like, ah, damn. I was like, I need to find someone. I only got like 2-3 years to find someone, propose, and get married. So I think like we put so much pressure on ourselves, and finally it's like, fuck it. Like, just do my own thing. But it took a while to finally get to a place where I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'd rather be happy and by myself than settle and be miserable. And then that's the other thing. Like, there's no formula for happiness. There's no like, the single people's getting all these cheeks, they're happy. Or the married people doesn't have to worry about getting cheeks, they're happy. Like, there's happy and sad people on both sides. So it's no magic thing. And also, random tidbit, what also helped in dealing with that was realizing the kind of the, I don't know if I want to say cultural divide, the environment we grew up in. So what I realized was all of my friends who grew up in the suburbs were like settled down kids and or married by like 25, and most of my friends who are from like urban area, city, still single and or just dating, and just no fucking rush at all, like just enjoying life, like whatever. So it was an interesting divide in kind of like how we view, I guess, I don't know, just the progression in life between finding someone to mate with and just whatever. I'm just going to travel. I'm just going to go to all these music festivals. Like, I'm just going to do whatever versus, hey, I want this big ass house in the backyard and just live a comfy life. So that recognition of the two different kind of like paths helped as well. Like, oh, there's more than one, and it's like, oh, there's more than 3. There's fucking infinite.
Right.
Dumbass. So it took a while.
It's all about what that person or what you want at the end of the day. And I think the last thing people need to watch out for, to not rush into a relationship and just kind of keeping things in check. Don't just do it because you had a very bad breakup or you don't want to be alone. Sometimes the best thing is to be alone so that you can get through it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like our big tidbits on advice. Hopefully you've all learned now what the real definition of cuffing season is.
It expires soon as it get warm. Deuces.
Gone. You out.
And hopefully we gave you some good advice on how to deal with commitment or understanding sort of the fear of commitment a bit better. And some actual practices you can use to kind of help with that process.
All right.
Don't forget to show us some love on social media. Follow us on Instagram by searching for _no-free-drinks, or you can even like us on Facebook. Choose your poison. And that was our episode today. Thanks for coming. I hope it was good for you too. This is Lena D. Kisses.
This is Wesley. Peace out, Girl Scouts.
This is Brock. Make love, not babies.